Good morning. If you have a Bible, grab it. Meet me in Mark chapter 5. Mark chapter 5 is where we're going to be today. We are still in our series, Manna, where we're exploring the parables and miracles of Jesus. And so we're looking at what Jesus said, and we're looking at what Jesus did way back when, and showing how it intersects with our lives in the here and now, in our day-to-day lives, not just in the future. And so last week we did look at the parable of the sower, but over the next 3 weeks, we're actually going to be in the book of Mark, where we are going to look at 3 miracles that we have contained in the book of Mark, beginning with the one that we're going to talk about today, which is this woman who is suffering. She has an issue of blood, and she has been suffering for 12 years. As she encounters Jesus, and everything changes. And this encounter, all the miracles, but this encounter is so dynamic and it's instructive. What is happening with her, what is happening in her, what she's doing, what Jesus does, how Jesus responds, all of it is instructive. There's a lot that we could pull from this passage that we're going to explore prayerfully. I won't get distracted. But the way that we're going to approach this passage is we're going to look at the woman who is suffering. We're going to look at the power and response of Jesus before closing with some considerations. That's going to be the framing of our text and our time. The woman who is suffering, the suffering woman, the woman suffering. The power and response of Jesus with some concluding considerations. Let's begin with the woman who is suffering. A lot we could say about her, but I want to say some emphatic things. It begins in verses 25 through 26. First thing we could say about this woman is that the woman suffering was experiencing significant suffering for a significant amount of time. This woman that was suffering was experiencing significant suffering for a significant amount of time. Read with me, verse 25 through 26. And a woman was there who had been subject to bleeding for 12 years. She had suffered a great deal under the care of many doctors and had spent all she had, yet instead of getting better, she grew worse. She's experiencing a significant amount of suffering for a significant amount of time. It may, multidimensional suffering, may be hard to see. I'm gonna bring it out, but let's start it like this. Everyone has a different pain tolerance. I've been married. My anniversary is in like 2 weeks. You know, I'm very excited about that. And so I may not be here. Let me just not even lie to anybody who's there. I may not be here. All right. And so, but one thing I've discovered being married and with 3 kids is, my youngest is a son and two girls, one of which decided to trigger me with that video. But what I've discovered is that there's certain things that are passed down through DNA, all right? And one of them is that, let me just step back. I promise I'm not weird, all right? One of them is that, like, my wife and my daughters both have alligator hands, all right? And here's what I mean. Their capacity to hold hot things is astounding. I mean, they'll grab a cast iron pot barehanded after it's been on the stove. You don't know mitts for that? Showers go in and it's steaming. And I'm like, this is so they have their alligator hands, yet tender at the same time. It's very weird, all right? Their pain tolerance is different than mine. And I ain't no punk, but their pain tolerance as it relates to heat is different than mine. Does that make sense? We all have a different pain tolerance. There's certain things that affect us differently. And so out the gate, you may have heard about this miracle before, and there's a way that it's taught or framed, and we don't see the significance of what's going on. Like, this is the way the scriptures talk about this story. They're not speaking in hyperbole, right? You know what I mean? Like, they literally great deal of suffering. This is not a paper cut, this is cancer. So even if you have a different pain tolerance, there are certain things that we could objectively say are worse and hard and difficult and hurt. Getting stung by a bee, unless you're allergic, is not the same as getting shot by a gun, all right? You track with me? This is a significant amount of suffering that she's experiencing. It's not a paper cut. This is cancer. She is suffering physically, emotionally, and spiritually. It's multidimensional. We know that's to be the case because of what the scriptures identify as a source of her suffering, the issue of blood. So clearly the physicality is seen, right? That she's in pain. There's an extended period of time. But our minds, at least the readers originally, they would go to Leviticus. And what happens with women who are bleeding, that they are ceremonial unclean until their bleeding stops. And so there's a way in which she's being isolated by her suffering, not just relationally, but spiritually. Cannot participate in certain things because they know what's going on with me. This is all suffering. This is an opportunity, if I may, to talk about suffering before we move on. All suffering sucks, period. First statement needs to be said. Continually, all Christian suffering has an expiration date. There is going to come a time where suffering for the Christian expires, where God has consumed the world with beautiful phrases like, all things new. Where the power of God has intervened at the final time, and he wipes away tears, and he ends all suffering. All Christian suffering has an expiration date. That's not all suffering. Some people will suffer forever because they've rejected Jesus. But all Christian suffering has an expiration date. But some Christian suffering endures even now. And what I take from this passage is there's so much that's on the table available for us that we could bring our suffering to Jesus. But what's beautiful is the Christian picture of suffering is so transformative and so transcendent that what the Christian offers to the world is a God who suffers. It's crazy. The reason why all Christian suffering is going to end is because Jesus suffered on a cross. That he died. He was hung for us. It's crazy. It confounded the hearers that there was a God who, as Stephen Colbert eloquently put it, he did it too. He suffered as well. This is what the Christian offers regarding suffering. It sucks. There's a God who does it too. He participates in suffering. But he also is present with us. So even if he doesn't end it before the end of days, we have 2 Corinthians 12, where Paul is experiencing tremendous suffering. He asks God to remove it. God says, no, but I'll be with you in the midst of it. So he participates in suffering. He's present with people as they suffer, but he has the power to end it in a moment, which is why this story offers so much to us, that we could do what she did, which is seek out Jesus. Nevertheless, the first thing that must be said is that she is experiencing significant suffering for a significant amount of time. There's other things that could be said that we must say here. Next thing, the woman's suffering spent all her resources trying to address and solve the issue, and it didn't work. It didn't work. It says it. She suffered under a great deal, this is verse 26, of doctors and spent all she had. Yet, instead of getting better, she grew worse. It didn't work. She spent all she had, but it didn't produce the outcome that she wanted. Talk with Pastor Chip about this. I'm actually going to mention Chip twice now. And then in your ticket is like certain items that you get, like, and so it's usually the Biscoff, like cookies, or they're better than peanuts. Delta for sure. Delta. I'm an American guy because I live in Miami, so it just made sense. When I was in Atlanta, I was a Delta guy, but then I'm getting distracted. But they give you those soda products, those Minute Maid joints. So my go-to move is that cranberry apple. You know what I mean? That can, and now they don't put it in the cup. They give you the can. So if you want to, so they gave me the can, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna enjoy this when I get home. So I put it in my backpack, went home, and I'm like, all the kids, welcome home, Dad. I was like, yes, I am like that. Give me a hug. My wife was like, yeah. I was like, it was a great experience. Put it in the refrigerator. Started, you know where the story is going. So started just unwinding, just like calm me down. Like, had it opened it. Oh my God, I'm so mad. Like, I'm getting angry thinking about it right now. Like, legit. And so I go to the refrigerator, and it's open, and it's halfway gone. And I'm like, yo, fam. And so I call all the kids together, because I know my wife. And I'm like, yo, who did it? Who did it? And one by one, they lied. One by one, they lied to my face. No one fessed up. So not all of them were lying. One of them was. Now the way I grew up, I'm African parents. All of us would have got beat. And so in me it rose. I was like, oh yeah, y'all all about to get it. And so, but I'm redeemed. So I was like, y'all, corporate punishment, it works in the Bible, sin of Achan, judges, blah, blah, blah. However, let's just, somebody tell the truth. And if you tell the truth, we're good. Just don't lie to me. This is a constant conversation we have with parenting. Tell the truth, don't lie to me. It's better to confess than to get caught. Just confess. Tell the truth, and we're good. To this day, Deontay Wilder, y'all know? To this day, not one of them has told the truth. I swear for the Lord. And it makes me so mad. It makes me so mad. Because it's a recurring theme in our life. It's like, man, one of y'all did it. Now, because I'm introspective, because I'm holy, I started to really wrestle. I'm like, man, am I the type of person that invites honesty? This was me trying not to crush them and use their sin as an opportunity for growth. That's a word. Sometimes we need to use other people's sin as an opportunity for our personal growth. In the name of Jesus. And so I'm like, man, am I the type of person that invites honesty? When we talk about leadership at the church, one of the things we kind of say is, am I a soft place for people to land? I think I am. I'm not going to let their sin dictate who I am, but does that make sense? And I look here, she didn't do anything wrong, okay? Like, we don't want to indict this woman of sin. But when she got caught, there wasn't this excuse. It was just, hey man, here's what's going on. And it just reminds me of Jesus. Jesus is a soft place to land when we are afraid. Because she's afraid. It says it. She got found out and she's filled with fear. Yet she didn't lie. She didn't make excuses. She didn't try to escape. She's like, man, Jesus, here's what it is, man. He's a soft place to land. Let's go with the closing considerations. That's been a long time. All right, closing considerations. First is found in verse 31. 31, it reads like this. You see the people crowded against you. Really, the first two are found in verse 31. You see the people crowded against you. His disciples answered, and yet you could ask, who touched me? This reminds me, and should remind us, that we can have proximity to Jesus without experiencing the power of Jesus or being in relationship with Jesus. Okay? This is a sobering reminder. He's surrounded by people. Yet only one person in that moment is experiencing power. That says infinitely more about the people than it does Jesus. So I said the power is here, but you can come here and experience nothing and then leave a bad yoke with you. Let me tell you about this Brook church, people. Go for it. Actually, we have great yoke. Amen. However, you could go to church and not experience power. That does not mean this is unnecessary. It may mean that there's something going on in our hearts. You know what I mean? And so we have proximity to Jesus, be in the same space, without experiencing his power or being in a relationship to him. And that's a scary reality. The second thing is this. This is not focused on the woman, it's focused on the disciples. Discipleship is a journey of discovery. Their question was not insane. Think about this. This is the imagery that this text has. Sea of people. Think your favorite superstar. They have their entourage and they have security. And they're making their way through the crowd. It's as if they're in the center, because security, and their entourage is by them, and then there's a surrounding security, the perimeter you establish. Does this make sense? And people are crowded. It's kind of like, Mike, I just want to touch you, Mike Jackson. And right, so people are crowding to them. And so, but they're still trying to make their way through the crowds. And they're like, Jesus, you're focused on somebody touching you? Do you not see where we are? We can't look at them and just be like, something's wrong with you. You know? I've been more soft to the disciples the older I get and the longer I'm a Christian. It's like, yeah, I do dumb stuff too. But Jesus, emphatic and pressing forward, was able to do something powerful in their life because they didn't think about that circle imagery. We see this and it reminds me just what happened with like the feeding of the 5,000, where there's this miracle that's happening, right? But the people who know a miracle is happening immediately are the disciples, because they're having to go back to Jesus to get the bread, go feed people, come back to Jesus. So there's in that circle of influence, you're experiencing something different. And so the crowd has to stop because Jesus has stopped. He finally makes his way to this woman and he's engaging in this dialogue with her. And the people who are in earshot of it are the disciples. And then afterwards, it's like, oh man, yeah, that's the God who, by a touch, could change the world, change a life. Peter, we know this to be true because the way he talks about the power and the touch of Jesus at the Last Supper. There's just some way where he's like, oh yeah, just wash all of me. Just put your hands on me. Not like in a weird, but like I need you to wrap your loving arms around me. I've seen your power. Discipleship is a journey of discovery. And so, stay close to Jesus. You know? Be with him, and you will grow close to him, and you'll become like him. Two more considerations in our time. Went a little bit longer than I wanted. Verse 27, she heard about Jesus. She heard about Jesus. The passage says that she heard, and it also tells us how she heard. So, what I mentioned earlier, you have this series of healings, early part of Mark, man. One, you have Jesus calming the demonstrations of power. You have Jesus calming the storm. Who controls the wind and waves? You have Jesus calming the storm in a human. So it's not just a storm raging around, but the storm inside the legion of demons. And this man who was healed by Jesus, he wants to go with him, which makes sense. He's like, oh, man, I was living in the tombs. Can I just walk with you forever? Because when Jesus changes our life, we actually want more of him. Jesus says, no, instead, hey, go back and tell people what happened. And in Mark 5:18 through 20, it says this: the man went away and began to tell in the Decapolis, that's 10 cities that make up this eastern region, how much Jesus has done for him, and all the people were amazed. That's like Jesus healing you in Little Haiti, but you talking about it in Boca. Does that make sense? It's on his lips. He was clearly homeless. So it's not as if he's like, oh, I just went back home. It's this man has been changed and he's going around and sharing it. Does it make sense? Tennessee, he's just sharing what Jesus has done in our lives can encourage others to see what he can do in their own lives. He has shared what Jesus has done. And this woman, for 12 years suffering, nothing is working. But I heard about a God, I guess, or a man, I guess. I heard about someone who could do something. So I'm gonna go seek this person out. Guys, our city is just filled with, all of us are suffering in some shape, form, or fashion, and we're medicating. Your gym membership is crazy, your body looks good, but your soul is wasting away. We're medicating. You live on Fisher Island, I don't care. Isolated from the world, we're medicating. And then we're hustling so we can look the part. And there's just a way, and then we binge on it. We're just medicating. Because it's hard. The cost of living compared to the living wage in Miami is difficult. Every year I watch people leave because it's so hard to raise a family here. The park game is not the same as New York or Chicago or other major cities. Our public transportation sucks. But it's so hard to live here. And we wear all of that. Even if it's not hard for you financially, relationally, it's hard to exist in where we're alone and we're tired and they kind of really connect. It's just hard. And so we medicate. But there's a story of a God who enters into difficulty. He's with people in the midst of it. Even if it's difficulty they brought on themselves because of their own sin. He steps in and he has the power to do something about it. Touch. This is the story that should be shouted from everywhere. But you have to personalize it. You have to look and say, hey, man, God, how have you done this in me? Because I am this woman. And I've received your touch. Last consideration. Faith is always risky and worth it. What Jesus celebrates her for is her faith. Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace. Be free from your suffering. The way this reads for me, and I hope for us, is Jesus is holding her up as an example. This is what Jesus does all throughout the Gospels. He takes the least likely and then he holds them up as an example for what's most necessary. And so he particularly using women and Gentiles, he'll just grab them and say, hey, these people that we are ignoring, let's look at them and learn from them. And so this woman is an example. And so she should be read in the same light as we read those peoples in Hebrews 11. Where it's like, oh, she has much to teach us. Her faith is powerful. She has strong confidence in Jesus. She thought to herself, hey, just a touch. This reads like the centurion man who says, you know what? I'm a man of authority. You don't actually have to come. Just speak it and it will happen. There is this powerful picture that she has. Even if it isn't elaborate, it's strong enough. And she is using it to take necessary, simple, but also risky actions. Audacious, that's faith. It's always audacious, even if it doesn't look like it. Because you're having to transfer trust from yourself to someone else. But here's the beautiful thing about Jesus. He's trustworthy. Yesterday we had the men's situation was great. And in the panel we were talking about just different things. And just like Tom and Chip and Steve up here. And one of the things Steve said that I thought was really encouraging, still chewing on, he said, trustworthiness is earned by the right actions consistently done over time. It's earned. And again, I've been thinking about it since yesterday, just even here. And it's like, Jesus has earned our trustworthiness. He really has. Cross, death, empty tomb, resurrection. But he hasn't just earned it through like just general, like, oh, I did all these things for everyone. Because of the attentiveness of Jesus, if we just look in our personal lives, we can see a track record of God's faithfulness. And the faithfulness of God is fuel for faithful living. taking risks for the cause of Jesus, man. Which is where we close. Lock into this series. Lock into the parables and the power encounters and miracles of Jesus. Lock in. We're going to be here for a while. Lock in and bring somebody with you, because we're looking at Jesus, and what we're desiring God to do is create in you a track record that you can trust, because you've seen what he said. You're seeing what he's done, and you're seeing how what he said and what he's doing is not for back then, but it's right now in your life. Lock in. Because there's an excellent Savior who's worth our attention, and he's worth the risk. Pray with me. Father, I'm so grateful for this woman's story, unnamed to us, but you know her name well. And I just pray